Anger is an acid that can do more harm to the vessel in which it is stored than to anything on which it is poured. Among the many forces that shape our lives, emotions stand out, not only for their incredible ability to influence our well-being, but also for the mysterious and uncontrollable ways in which they do so. When we are overwhelmed by an intense emotion, our perception of reality shifts. We lose the ability to distinguish between rational and irrational, good and evil, and in extreme cases, between what is real and what is imagined. Emotions can drive us to take unimaginable actions, some constructive, others potentially destructive. And among all human emotions, one stands out as the most intense, the most powerful, and the most dangerous: anger. Anger, the emotion that can build or destroy. Anger takes many forms: rage or resentment, chronic hostility, hatred. If ignored or suppressed, it can lead to personal suffering, harm those we love, and, in extreme cases, result in collective tragedies. Throughout history, collective anger has fueled revolutions, wars, and massacres. In the 20th century alone, millions of lives were lost due to political movements inflamed by resentment. A brutal reminder of what happens when we ignore or deny the destructive power of anger. But not all expressions of anger are destructive. Sometimes, anger is legitimate and even necessary. Aristotle once said, "Those who are not angered by what they should be outraged by are considered fools." Anger can be a driving force, giving us the energy to take action, fight for justice, and face challenges. When properly channeled, it becomes proof that we are still alive, willing to stand our ground and refuse to give up. The real problem we face is not anger itself, but what we do with it. The link between powerlessness and anger. No social emotion is more common than the feeling of powerlessness. Feeling cornered, being pursued, wronged, trapped, having no voice, not being heard, not being seen. Powerlessness breeds anger, and anger, when it has no healthy outlet, turns into destructive fury. Our modern world constantly puts us in this state. Many people feel like they have no control over their lives, as if they are nothing more than cogs in an immense, impersonal system. Soul-draining jobs, governments, and corporations that crush individuality. Crowds where no one truly feels connected. The result? A society filled with repressed frustration, accumulated anger, and unpredictable emotional outbursts, rebelling against death and fate. The feeling of powerlessness doesn't come only from social circumstances. Life itself, with its pain and challenges, can awaken a silent rage within us. From the moment we are born, we are thrown into a world that can be hostile, frustrating, and indifferent to our desires. We are forced to deal with loss, failure, and injustice, and no matter how much we try to deny it, our final fate is already written. Death awaits us all. Dylan Thomas once wrote, "Do not go gentle into that good night. Rage, rage against the dying of the light." Anger at life's finitude can paralyze us, or it can wake us up to a more intense, more truthful, and more meaningful existence. The repression of anger and its consequences. Most of us were never taught how to deal with anger. Instead, we were taught to hide it behind social masks. We create complex rituals to maintain an image of selflessness while silently suppressing resentment. But what happens to a repressed emotion? It doesn't disappear. It accumulates. And eventually, it manifests in destructive and unpredictable ways. disproportionate emotional outbursts, psychosomatic disorders, compulsive and self-destructive behaviors. By denying our anger, we do not become more virtuous or more peaceful. We only become more fragile, more unstable, more vulnerable. Diamond. The hidden power behind emotions. To find a constructive way to channel anger, we can turn to a concept from ancient Greece, the daimon. In Greek mythology, daimon was an intermediary spirit between the gods and humans, a mysterious force that lived within us and influenced our actions. Psychologist James Hillman modernized this concept, defining daemon as any intense psychic force capable of dominating our existence, the desire for power, the creative impulse, love, passion, fury. These impulses are neither good nor bad. They are primordial forces seeking expression. The problem is not their existence, but what we do with them. If we fail to channel these forces, they consume us. If we learn to control them, they become sources of inspiration, creativity, and action. Anger as a creative force, the balance between destruction and transformation. Our culture insists on ignoring the constructive side of anger. From an early age, we are taught to suppress it, to hide it beneath masks of conformity. Yet, by suffocating this powerful emotion, we are also suffocating an essential part of our being, our creativity. The need to be creative is not limited to artists or specific personalities. It is inherent to all of us and arises whenever we face internal conflicts, external challenges, or moments of chaos. When these elements appear in our lives, they signal the need for transformation, whether in our worldview, character, or environment. If we choose creativity over passivity, we respond proactively, shaping our minds and our reality. We bring meaning to chaos, we face challenges, and in the end, we transcend disorder. Creativity, the act of destroying to create. The creative process is, by nature, a process of change, growth, and evolution. It helps us reorganize our inner world, bringing order to chaos and transforming powerlessness into strength. When we fail to find a creative outlet for this energy, repression can become one of the main causes of our emotional blockages, frustrations, and existential crises. As Pablo Picasso famously said, every act of creation is first an act of destruction. For something new to emerge, the old must be left behind. Friedrich Nietzsche expressed this idea brilliantly in Thus Spoke Zarathustra. One must be willing to burn in one's own flame. How could you rise anew if you have not first turned to ashes? The destruction of obsolete pasts, limiting beliefs, and deeply rooted mental patterns is the price of transformation. Anger as a creative and liberating force. In The Marriage of Heaven and Hell, William Blake portrays Satan as a symbol of creativity, energy, and action, fighting for freedom. Anger, often seen as a negative emotion, can actually be a necessary force for any lasting and meaningful creation. To create something new, one must break away from the status quo, shatter old patterns, and let go of outdated ideas. Every creative experience carries traces of destruction, whether by challenging established norms, breaking free from past conditioning, transforming internal conflicts into creative power. When we ignore this energy, it doesn't disappear, it turns against us. The result? Uncontrolled emotional outbursts, hidden resentments, and a deep sense of frustration. The danger of repressing anger. Recognizing anger as a natural response to powerlessness and learning to channel it constructively is essential. Otherwise, it risks causing unconscious destruction, both in our lives and in the world around us. When we accept this emotion, we can transform it into creative energy, use it to fuel our goals, become more assertive and determined. On the other hand, if we continue following the cultural conditioning that teaches us to deny or repress anger, it can shift from a creative passion to a destructive force with potentially devastating consequences. The choice: live creatively or be consumed by chaos. The question isn't whether we will feel anger, it's what we will do with it. We can learn to live creatively with the diamond, channeling this force into art, thought, innovation, and personal transformation. Or we can be consumed by it, allowing it to weigh us down, leading to frustration and resentment. This is the decision that will shape our destiny. May we choose wisely. Anger can be either poison or medicine. If we let it control us, it drags us down a path of destruction and suffering. But if we learn to use it as fuel, it becomes a powerful force for change, resistance, and overcoming obstacles. Now tell me, how do you deal with your anger? Have you ever felt that it could be transformed into something positive? Drop your story in the comments. I love reading your experiences and sharing this awakening with you all. If this message resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear this. Who knows? It might reach the exact person who has been searching for this knowledge. And hey, don't leave just yet. There's another video on your screen right now that will help you dive even deeper into the power of emotions and the influence they have on our lives.